Macca's Guides.
Hey guys, Macca here with a 100% full game walkthrough for Rise of Insanity. In this video, I'll be showing you all 1000 Gamerscore. There are a lot of notes I want to make before we get started, and you might want to listen to these before you decide if you want to play the game. The main thing is that the game is pretty glitchy, and the game can crash a lot. When the game crashes, it can prevent you from getting some achievements. Which means that even if you do follow this video, which will probably be around 45 minutes long, there is still a high percentage of chance that your game doesn't give you all of the achievements, in which case you would need to play it again. And I'll talk about that whole process at the end of the video. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up about the fact that this game may prevent you from getting some achievements, even if you do follow along and do everything right. So I want you to keep that in mind. Now, before we get started, I'm going to go to the settings, and I'm going to turn up the brightness a fair bit, probably past the point it should be turned up, as I get a slightly better picture that way. And then as soon as we can, we are going to be starting the game. One thing I do recommend you doing is going to your achievements, going into Rise of Insanity, going for the Nosy achievement, and then marking that as a favorite, and then turning on the achievement tracker, and you want to configure the tracker to be at the top of the screen, showing one achievement with full transparency. This will allow us to keep track of the collectibles. There are 45 notes in the game, which are going to be the kind of most important collectible. There is also additionally, I think, 6 audio recordings, as well as 3 armor pieces. And those are pretty easy, but all 45 of the notes can be a little bit difficult, so we'll make sure we follow along. Nonetheless, once you're ready, you want to start the game and sit back, relax, enjoy the small cinematic. One other note is that the game does not have any inverted control options. It does have the ability to invert everything, but that also inverts your movement, and it inverts your left and right, which makes it pretty much impossible to play. So if you do play inverted like myself, you might have to go into your Xbox accessories app and do that manually. Another cool thing about this game is that we don't actually have to play the whole game. We can kind of finish 5 minutes early because you don't actually get an achievement for completing the game. And in terms of how bad or good the game is, it is a VR horror game that was ported to the Xbox, which usually means it's going to be terrible, but this is actually not that bad. It's actually a half-decent game. It's pretty spooky. I actually did enjoy some parts of it, and it's not terrible in comparison to a lot of the other games. Unfortunately, though, it is quite glitchy, and the one part of the game that is absolutely terrible is the translations. This game was not made in English. It was translated to English, and it is a pretty rough translation, to say the least. All right, so here is kind of what we want to do. The game is a first-person game. You're going to move with the left stick, look with the right stick. Once we spawn here, that should be pretty obvious pretty quickly. The only other thing you have to interact with in this game is use the A button to interact, and you can use the left trigger in order to speed up your walking. So the first thing we're going to do is pick up the audio recorder directly in front of us, and we can just kind of skip. Now, if you want, you can check every time you pick up an audio recorder to make sure it's tracking. It should be giving you 16 or 17% for every time you pick one up. But I think the more times you open up this menu, the more likely the game is to crash. So I'm going to be trying to avoid that as much as possible. Now, next up, we're going to be showing the notes and how that system works. So if you look down and to the left, you'll notice a drawer. Open the drawer, and inside you can pick up a note. If you pick up the note, it doesn't actually track that note right away, but once you put down the note, it should track, as you see at the top of the screen. There are 45 notes, so each note is going to be worth roughly 2 to 3% of progress. Now, notes only count if it has at the bottom of the screen the ability to press the X button to turn the note into text. There are photos and other things we'll be finding that don't count as notes, but I will be making sure to pick up every single note along the way and let you guys know that you have to pick them up. So the first one, as soon as we spawn, look down and to the left and find a note inside the drawer. Then turn around behind you to find a bookshelf. And on that bookshelf, we can find our second note. There's also an achievement for opening up a bunch of drawers and cabinets. So feel free to just kind of open stuff up whenever you see it, although you don't have to. We'll probably end up opening more than enough along the way. So once you kind of get the first two notes in the room, pick up the auto recorder and open some drawers, you can leave out of the door, turn left in the hallway, and inside of the kind of 5-tier drawer, right here, you can find your next note. Make sure your achievement is tracking as you're picking these up, though. If it doesn't, you want to keep in mind kind of when the problem happened for later on when I describe exactly how to fix problems. At this point, we can now go downstairs. We're using the left trigger in order to sprint. We're going to speed up the, everything a little bit faster here. Go downstairs and then turn right. You'll see the piano in front of you. Turn right again. And we are in this kind of dining kitchen room. And you can go to the left here. You'll notice a desk with a lamp on it. And there will be a note on here. Now we can proceed to the kitchen. And on the refrigerator, we can find our next note. From the refrigerator, you can look kind of across the kitchen onto one of the top cabinets and find another note. At this point, you can kind of walk around, and what you need to do is get your wife to yell at you to turn off the TV, but do not turn off the TV. There's really nothing you can do to speed up this process other than to kind of try to run around and get things to trigger. But you absolutely do not want to turn off the TV. If you have the audio on really loud, you'll hear her and hopefully have the subtitles on to let you know that she asked you to turn it off. Pretty much, we're just going to stand here and wait around 1 minute to 2 minutes in order for the Rebel achievement to unlock. It's for not turning off the TV when your wife asks you to. I don't know if there's a certain way to kind of speed it up or if it's just timed. From my testing, I've just kind of sat here and it's eventually unlocked. Maybe walk around a little bit, pick up some notes and stuff. Again, just to make sure. We can open some drawers and cabinets if we want, as we're kind of waiting. Now, you're actually supposed to turn off the TV, which allows the game to kind of proceed. But I guess if you just wait here for long enough, it'll just unlock the achievement and then you can turn it off. So we'll just kind of be patient here and keep waiting a little bit. There it goes. Finally, it's unlocked. We've gotten Rebel. Your mileage may vary on this one in terms of like how long it takes you to unlock, but just don't turn off the TV until you unlock it. Then you can turn it off. And now when you walk back to the main hallway, you should be able to answer this phone, which will start kind of the next chapter, I guess. All right, so starting on the next chapter, you'll spawn in the room, pick up the audio recorder directly in front of you. Just to the left of that, you'll find a note. Pick it up. You can open the drawer below it, but turning a little bit more to your left, you'll notice another desk with a small radio on it with a note inside on top rather. You want to pick that up. Next, what you'll want to do is leave the room. Go to the left. You'll see that this is room 6. It's the eye testing room. Go inside of the eye testing room.
But these are only suspicions.
Once inside of the room, walk forward and look into the drawer by the desk and pick up the note inside. Just double check that it tracked. At this point, you can now return to the foyer and find the elevator banks and go inside of the elevator, clicking the button in order to go down. Now, if you want to open up your achievement tracker here and look at Nosy, you should be at 20%. Once at the bottom of the elevator, walk forward, open the double doors, walk forward. Run to the end of the hallway. Once you reach the end of the hallway, go to the right-hand side door. You can go in here and just interact with stuff. This is all not necessary, but I like to interact with it to make sure. This is kind of how I learned to play the game. So I don't know if these steps are necessary, but like this, for example, isn't actually a note. It's completely optional because you can't read it. It doesn't count. Nonetheless, you have to go up to the kind of door at the end of the hall. You'll see a clue. It says a key to the heart is located where the journey began, and you'll try to open the door, but you can't. Now, I believe you can just enter the code in here, but we're actually going to go back upstairs because everything's kind of respawned. And we're going to have new things to pick up. So instead of speedrunning through the game and skipping a whole section, we're going to go back to the elevator and ride the elevator back up. Alright, once we get back into here, we're going to go into the room we started in. There's going to be a little bit of spooky. And the Doctor of Psychology room is where we started. So we want to go back in there, go to the desk, and read the note on the desk, which will say, check your eyes or whatever. But that's also going to count as a note, which we need to get. So now we can leave this doctor's office and go back into room 6, which is the eye testing room. Now you can look at the eye test and see that the code is 629. I've played this game about 4 times, and every time I've played it, it's the same code. So we can just kind of go back to the elevator now. Take the elevator downwards. Once we are in the basement, just sprint forward to the end of the hall and enter the code. The code again is 629. And now we can enter into the room. That'll get us an achievement for like progression. And once inside here, there's some stuff on the desk over on the right, but that's all not needed. You'll want to walk forward and to the left, and on this small freezer gurney thing, next to a candle, you can find the next note. Make sure that tracks. And at that point, you can try to leave the room. You will be unsuccessful. I just tap on the door as much as possible. And I spin around because sometimes you have to spin around. Just keep trying to open the door, spinning around, and eventually you'll have this thing happen, which is part of the game. Your screen will fade to white. You'll enter a room with a birdcage. Now, next to the birdcage, there is a note, but that doesn't actually count towards anything, but it tells you about how to control this section. Basically, you'll be flying through this cave. We actually have to die in this game 5 times. This is the best place to do that. So just fly straight into the rock on the right-hand side. And then once you die, just click the birdcage again. Rinse and repeat this a total of 5 times. I like this rock because some of the rocks will actually glitch you through the map and it won't kill you. So this is the best rock to use. I know that sounds ridiculous, but just trust me on this one. Sorry, I'm just counting some stuff in my notes while we go here. Upon our 5th death, which should be coming up right here, we will get the Masochist achievement or trophy. To be honest, I didn't even look to see if this game was on PlayStation. If it is, the list is the same. Anyways, once we do get murdered 5 times during the flight section, we actually have to complete it, like, perfectly this time. It's very easy. Just steer yourself through the tunnel using your right stick. You'd have to, you know, if you've gotten this far in the game, this part should be very easy for you. Fly into the white light. And then answer the phone in front of you in order to go to the next kind of chapter, I guess. Okay. Walk forward and turn to the right, following the path. You'll want to go left and check the door on this greenhouse. You'll notice it's locked, but I'm not sure if the key will spawn if you don't find out it's locked. So this greenhouse is locked. Turn around and follow the path like as if you kept going past the greenhouse. It gets pretty dark here, but hopefully you guys can kind of see what's going on. But you're basically just going to keep following the path for a bit here. You can't really get lost. There's only one path, and you can't leave the path. VR games are generally pretty simplistic when they get converted, you know, back to console. Nonetheless, you'll find this little like graveyard here, and what you will want to do is look in the wheelbarrow. You'll find a key. There's also these rubber duckies, which are completely optional, but there's like probably 20 of them in the game. You can just randomly pick up. But once you have the key, just turn around and return to that greenhouse that was locked. There will be some spooks and scares as you play. I kind of know. The first time I played through the game, honestly, I did get scared. Like, I got jumped a little bit. But after playing a couple times, I pretty much remember most of them, so it's not too bad. Nonetheless, you're going to open the greenhouse door. And make sure you do this in this order. So just open the door, walk forward, and look on the ground by the lamp. And make sure you pick up this note first. Next, look up and to the right. You'll notice that on a desk is a candle and another note. Pick up that note second. Once both of those track, you should be able to kind of turn around. There will be some dialogue between characters. See, once the dialogue finishes, you can no longer pick up the note on the ground. Oh, you can. Some of the notes are like weird. You can only pick them up from certain angles or whatever. But nonetheless, I'm just kind of walking around to stall for time. And eventually the greenhouse will break like that. And any minute now, a phone will start ringing. I think you're just supposed to walk around and explore. Well, okay, there. So now I can hear the phone. We leave the greenhouse, and the phone will be right in front of us. This game isn't the most consistent when it comes to, like, the timing of this kind of stuff. So sometimes things don't happen exactly the same every time in terms of the timing of like the main storyline, I guess. Once we pick up the phone, we'll now spawn into the kids' room. Once we spawn into the kids' room, we'll want to walk forward and look on the desk in order to pick up the note. Make sure that tracks. From here, we want to turn to our left, and there's a small chest on the ground with a wooden sword lying down next to it. We'll want to pick up that sword, count to 5, 3, 4, 5, and put the sword down. The sword is one of the 3 pieces of armor for the Sir Theodore Doel achievement. However, this one's pretty glitchy with it counting stuff, so you'll just want to kind of, I don't know, make sure it tracks, but don't make sure it's tracking too often or it might actually crash your game. You know, I'm trying my best here. Nonetheless, once we pick up the note in the kids' room and the sword in the kids' room, we can now, you know, open drawers if you want. This doesn't count as a note, but we're opening drawers in order to make progress towards the 80 drawers opened achievement. But you can now leave through the door into the main foyer. Once in the main foyer, you'll notice the painting falls, and there's a puzzle kind of on the wall there. And you want to go here to the door next to the stairs. Before going through that door, look in the drawer to the left, and make sure you read this note. At this point, proceed through the door. It'll be very dark in here, and you will need a fuse. You should be able to locate another door in this dark room that leads to the stairs to the basement. Once you get to the bottom, once you get down the stairs, you open the door, and this is the basement. There's a lot of things to do in here, but the best order is to turn right as you enter. And on this box, you will find a shield. This is your second out of 3 armor pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I put it down. Next, we want to go and skip the door that was directly in front of us as we entered. Go into this large open area and look to the left. You'll see this kind of pinned board. And on the ground to the left of it is one note. And on the board itself is another note. Turn around and you should be able to walk across and look into the boxes on the bottom right to pick up some fuses. Now you can walk back to the hallway. You'll notice that the sprinklers have gone off, and you'll want to walk into the door to the left, and you have to fix the sprinklers in order to turn off the water. The solution is as follows. On the top, you want the white arrow to point up. On the bottom, you want the white arrow to point down. You want the left arrow to point inward and the right arrow to point inward. Once you have that solution, it should unlock an achievement and stop the sprinkler. You can now go back up the stairs we took to get to the basement. Turn left. Go forward once you reach the top of the stairs to fix the fuse. This will turn the lights on in the room. And now we can go back into the foyer, turn right towards the piano, and then turn right towards the kitchen, and go inside and pick up the audio recorder on the table.
Patient Edward 41, taking some pieces of advice.
After picking up this audio recorder, there's a very sneaky note. I'm going to show you it. We're going to turn around, and don't leave this room. But inside of this room, there's a shelf with a large trophy and a bird on it. You'll want to pick up the bird. It is a note. However, you can only pick it up if you're looking at it from a very specific distance and angle. You can see that if you're, like, the first time I did this game, I went through the room and, like, kind of went up to everything really close. But you can only pick up this bird from far, like, a very specific distance. And that will count as a note. If you do want to check your progress, we are at exactly 40%. At this point, you can now pick up the phone, which should be ringing in the hallway.
Hello? Steven? Are you here? Steven? It's Eddie.
Sorry, one sec. I'm just making sure we are 100% still good to go. Perfect. Now, once we spawn in here, we'll want to look forward, and there's this picture of these 3 figurines we'll need to collect. This is not a note, as we can't actually read it. So what we'll want to do is turn around and leave this area. The first door on your right, enter it. go behind the little, cover and pick up this first figurine. Now exit this room, continue down the hall to the very end where you'll find the elevator and take the elevator up. Once you make your way up to the main floor, go to the office, the Doctor of Psychology office, which we've been to a couple of times before. Inside of here, we want to go forward and listen to the audio recorder.
Patient Eddie, 41.
On the desk is a note we also want to read.
Acquainted with traumatic Eddie's past life, violence.
We can also try to open up a drawer or two here because we do need to make progress towards those 80 drawers. That achievement doesn't track, by the way. We can now leave this office, and we want to go to the eye testing room, which is room number 6, right next door. Inside of the eye testing room, there is a new note now. It's inside of the drawer of the far little table. Again, we're going to open up some cabinets here in order to make progress. Now we have to go to the basement, but we're not going to be taking the elevator. We're actually going to be taking the stairs right here. So take the stairs to the basement. Once you enter here, you'll notice a large desk called registration. Inside of, you'll want to go to the right-hand side door to get kind of behind the desk there. Open any drawers or cabinets you want, but you just want to go to the next room so you're kind of behind the desk. And then you want to look in the cabinets behind them. One of the cabinets you can open in order to find the figurine. Feel free to try to open up anything else you can in order to make progress towards the drawers and stuff. We'll want to then leave the registration and walk across to the other kind of direction. And we'll find the washroom. Open up the door to the washroom and now go inside. We can try to open all of the stalls, which is, we can if we want, but we don't have to. And then if we continue down the washroom, there's a shower. Once you enter, a shower curtain will fall and you'll see the third and final figurine we need to collect to continue. You can actually look inside of the toilet for one of those rubber duckies. There's a lot of rubber duckies, which I'm not showing, by the way. There's a lot of them. Nonetheless, we're now ready to open up the washroom. Prepare to get spooked. Now walk towards the elevators. And there should be a bunch of blood. Very cabin in the woods style. Filling the room. And now you should have a flying section. The first half of the flying section's automatic, but the second half we do have to control. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that my game doesn't crash. Even if it does crash, we'll continue the playthrough and I'll show you kind of everything that happens. And I'll talk about all that stuff at the very end of the video for anyone who ends up with a problem. Alright, at this point you do have to control the bird. Just fly through the tunnel into the light at the end. Once here, you answer the phone.
Thank you.
And we start another kind of outdoor section. As soon as we spawn, you'll see a small light in front of you. Interact with that in order to pick up the flashlight. Now you just want to walk forward and follow the path. At the end of the path, you'll notice a small greenhouse to the right. You'll want to enter that. You'll see 2 desks. On the left-hand side desk, you'll notice a note. Pick that up, obviously. And on the right-hand side desk, you'll see a roll of duct tape. Pick that up. Now we can leave and go back towards where we came from. There will be a spooky. And then we turn to the right once we enter this area. You'll notice a small blue van as well as a greenhouse. We actually have to turn the lights on in the van. So go around it, behind it, and to the front seat. We will use the tape we found in order to turn the lights on or fix the car and then turn the lights on. We'll get the electrician achievement or trophy for progress. And this will light up the greenhouse so we can now enter it without dying. Now, as soon as you enter, if you kind of look down and to the right, you should notice a note. Pick that up. And you should notice a small dead mouse inside of the hole. At this point, you just kind of walk around until the phone rings. Once the phone starts ringing, you can pick it up.
Come for me, please. Mom is lying here. She is so cold.
Alright, so we spawned here. Do not leave this room. What we want to do is we have to actually watch this TV. And on the TV, we'll have a small kind of ring-style whore thing happening. The way I got it to unlock, I don't know if you can just stand here and kind of wait for it. The way I personally got it to unlock was I actually turned the TV off. I did a small loop of the room. And the TV turned back on. And then I see the well of the ring girl. And it's very spooky. I walk up to the TV. And that should happen. Sorry if the audio went really high there. But that's how to get the 100-point achievement called the ring or whatever it's called. Now we can continue out of this room. Once you leave this room, a rock will cover the door behind you. So you can't return to that room. Walk forward and go into the kids' bedroom, which is the white door. Once you enter, look up and to the right. You should notice a book. That is a note. Hope that counted. I wasn't sure. I didn't see. Feel free to, like, you know, open up any drawers you want. Rubber ducky again. At this point, we can now go back to the foyer. Go upstairs. And turn left. In order to read this note. Which did not track for some reason. We're going to continue on, though. Hopefully yours worked 100%. Enter through this door. And go around. Keep going around. And as you go through here, you notice a bird on the left. You want to pick that up. That is also a note. Now, I think my tracker just jumped. I think I got progress for 2 or 3 notes in one pickup there. So, we're still on pace to get the achievement in the playthrough. So, we got the bird. We're going to continue on. And we're going to listen to the audio recording right here. Now we can go back to where we came from. Go back downstairs. And there will be a phone that rings, which we can pick up. If you see any drawers or things you can open, just open them before the phone rings in order to gain some progress towards the 80 drawers achievement. Answer the phone when you're ready. Alright, now unfortunately this is where a lot of people's games crash. If you don't see the little loading symbol and then this doesn't happen, your game crashed, and essentially you'll have to close it and just restart it and continue along with me. There's a decently high chance you will miss one achievement because of the crash. In that case, you will need to refer to the end of the guide where I'll explain how to fix that issue. Once you're at this section, though, you just walk forward and hold the left trigger in order to go into the doorway. Once you're near the doorway, you'll actually fall through the floor, and that is supposed to happen.
Saturday, he did not have his family. He did the deal. The Sunday morning, he slept off. The doctor was right. 9 years have gone.
We should be pretty... We're definitely past the halfway point of the game. Alright, so now we're in Marshmallow Land. Walk forward, you'll notice a desk in front of you. Approach the desk slowly in order for all of the cycles of this little conversation to kind of happen. Once they are done, which takes 5-10 seconds, you should be able to open the drawer on the left and pick the note inside. You can now continue to the next Marshmallow Room. Something similar will happen. There will be a small desk with some people that act out a scene for us. This also takes about 5 or 10 seconds. Once they are done, approach the desk in order to pick up the note. And now you want to go behind the desk in order to find your third and final piece of armor. If your game crashed, it's likely that your achievement will not unlock, though. We pick it up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We put it down, and it doesn't unlock because the game crashed for me in this playthrough one time. So I'll have to revert to the other method described at the very end of this video in order to unlock the Sir Theodore Dowell achievement at a later date. We should also be at 83% for all of the tape recorders, and we should also be at exactly 60% for all of the notes in the game. We are now ready to proceed. Unfortunately, that is the most common glitch in the game, the one for the armor pieces. They don't track if your game crashes between the first and last armor piece. So if you do another playthrough, I'll explain this a little bit later, but you want to try to collect all 3 without a game crash. Now we walk forward. You'll notice the piano player. Let that play out for 5 or 10 seconds. And then walk up to the piano. 1 note is on the piano. 1 note is on the seat to the piano. Make sure both of those are picked up and continue along. Want to just walk down the bridge? The bridge will continue extending until a giant wall shows up in front of you. Turn around and another wall will show up in front of you. Turn around and keep walking back and forth until something appears on the ground in front of you. Pick up the rubber ducky, which will take you back to your house. Oh, you have to look up actually first. It's kind of confusing there. And you'll have to walk through like 5 or 6 of these doors. Now we'll end up back at our house. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is leave this room and go to the door directly in front of us. Open that door. Go inside the room. Look into the cabinet on the right as you enter. Actually, won't let us do that yet, so let's do it the long way. I didn't know you had to do this. Go down the hallway and try to enter your washroom.
Honey, go get a towel from
Your wife will say, hey, please bring me a towel because she didn't bring a towel to take a shower. Smart one you married. Anyways, you go back now to the room. I'm just kidding. You go back to the room, your bedroom here. And now as you enter in the drawer on the right-hand side, you should be able to now open this and find the towel inside. So pick that up. Also, before you leave this room, walk forward and you should be able to find a note right here on the desk. And there should be a drawer you can open up here just because we're trying to get 80 drawers. There's probably a couple hundred in the game, but we're not, you know, we've kind of been skipping quite a few of them. So we're going to make sure to open as many drawers as we can. Kind of continuing here. But once you pick up the note and the towel, you can now go back to the bathroom. You will now be allowed in. You will see a note on the desk nearest the tub, which you will want to pick up. Don't know if that counted on our tracker, but anyways, we want to deliver our towel here to our wife. And at this point, spooky stuff's gonna happen. We can try to just leave the door. Just try to keep clicking the door. I like to click the door and spin in circles. I found that that usually tends to speed things up the fastest. Eventually, we'll be let out of the door, and we can go back into the hallway to pick up the phone. Let me check this drawer real quick. Yeah, never mind. But yeah, just pick up the phone, and that should bring us to the next little area. Okay, we are spawning back in the Doctor of Psychology office. Open some drawers if you can. And as we spawn, looking at the door in front of us, go to the right-hand side and you notice a note on the table. Pick that up. Now you want to go to room number 9. You'll walk forward and turn to the right. Go into this room and listen to the audio recorder on the table, which should unlock your audio recording achievement.
Research theme. The test of the therapy increasing the
You can look around here, although I don't believe there's anything to really grab. You may have to turn this on. I'm going to turn it on just in case. A little cinema wheel thing. And there's also a green chest here, which requires a key. So now that we have that taken care of, we're just going to go and take the elevator. Alright, once you reach the basement, walk forward. Enter the first open door on your left. Or the first, like, door you can open on your left. You'll walk in, and the sheets will get blown off. You'll walk forward, and you'll notice this machine. In order to do this puzzle, click the following buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. And that should just do all the lights. Open the side panel, which will reveal a key for you. Now we're going to leave this room and continue down the hall. Not back towards the elevator, but back towards the far end. And on the last door on the left, you'll be able to enter that door as well. In here, you should be able to find a light bulb on the back desk. And we're going to quickly check across the hall to see if there's any drawers we can open. I don't think there are. No. Although we did get the Explorer for opening 80 shelves or sideboards. So that should open, that should unlock for you. If you don't have it yet, just make sure you're opening drawers a lot later on in the game. But anyways, continue towards the elevator and make sure you put the broken light bulb inside of the lamp that we crossed. And that'll allow us to now go back to the elevator. And we'll want to take the elevator up. Alright, from here, go back to room number 9, which is the far one. And use the key on the green chest inside. Inside, you should be able to find a note. Make sure you read that note. Rubber ducky. You should notice that the phone starts ringing, which makes you want to leave the room. But there's a spooky, so we're just going to have to turn around and try opening the door. And just keep doing this. Every time you spin around, it should look different behind you. Until eventually it ends this, like, chapter area. Cool. So, for this area, you'll notice there's a locked door right in front of us. So, we want to turn around, go behind us. Turn left when possible. Go into the greenhouse on the right-hand side there. You'll find red pliers, I guess these are called. I don't know. Like big bolt cutter things. Once you get the bolt cutter things, go back to the greenhouse to cut the door down. And now just follow this path for quite a while. Once you reach this opening with a boat and mountains in front of you, turn left. You'll notice a tree with a swing and a small picnic. Make sure you pick up the note near the picnic, or on the picnic. There it goes. It didn't track. Anyways, next to the tree, you'll find a boat oar. And then with that oar, you can now go to the boat and interact with it in order to kind of end this little section. Alright, we should be back in Marshmallow Land now. Walk forward and you'll notice a book pile. Inside of that book pile there is a note. Make sure you interact with it. Continue on to room number 2. In room number 2 you'll find a picnic, which also has a note on it. Make sure you pick that up as well. Now, we can do a quick progress check. The achievement for all the notes and letters should be at 80%. Walk forward. Go past this area to the next area. You'll notice this kind of courthouse trial happening. And on the tree stump to the right, you'll notice a book in order that you should be reading. You have to wait until, like, the dream sequence kind of ends in order to read it, though. Once you read that book, you should be able to exit the level using the door kind of behind you from where you entered. Now, we're almost done the game. I did notice, unfortunately, we'll talk about it. Nonetheless, we're in the prison, so the thing you want to do is try to interact with the door. you'll kind of hear, you'll hear a buzz. That means the door is open for you. So you can now walk out. Walk out of this first door. And then go to the first blue door on your right. You notice a desk with a lamp. Make sure you read the note on the desk. Perfect. Now exit this door and continue down the hall. Go turn right when you can, following the wall. Enter this door right here. We're now behind the glass that connects those two rooms. There are two notes on the desk in front of us. This note right here, which has a really weird, like, grabbing radius. It sometimes just won't let you grab it. We'll wait until this little scene plays out. It's actually working beautifully now, but it didn't the first time. Pick up that note. On the desk, kind of next to it, on the other side of the desk, is another note. And we can now leave the room following the wall kind of counterclockwise. Go down the long hall, last door on your right. Now this room doesn't have anything other than a couple of hints for a puzzle. There's a radio as well as like a Morse code decipherer. And there's like a how to unlock a lock. Nonetheless, this room's just like a hint. Go across the hallway to the other room. Once in this room, what we want to do is there is a locker on the right hand side as we enter, and the code should be 3, and then go left to 2, and then go right to 7. That should open the lock, which will open the cabinet. Inside of the cabinet, you'll find a key. Before leaving this room, make sure you pick up the note on the desk. Now we can return to the room that was behind the glass that had the two notes on the desk there. We can use the key on the fuse box on the far right. Open the fuse box and pull the lever, which will add power to a certain part of the prison, which causes a phone to ring. Go back towards where we started this area. And notice the phone on the left-hand side. Go inside and answer the phone.
Listen, Bowman, give me some creeps, Doctor. I won't manage.
We're now going to spawn inside of a courthouse. As soon as we spawn, turn to your left to notice a note directly next to you. My tracker decided not to track this note. Nonetheless, go forward and through the double doors. You have to walk around for them to trigger. We're going to try this note one more time. It's fine, we'll skip it. Go through the double doors and look to your left on the pews. You should notice a note right there. And we did get progress for both of those notes. Now you can walk forward to the trial, and it should kind of start a series of short kind of cinematics. Halfway through this trial, though, you will regain control of your character.
Sanity to the evidence, as well as recordings made by Dr. Dowell during the therapy.
Mr. Edward, could you tell us about the relation that was between you and Mrs. Susan Dow, Dr. Stephen Dow's wife, that tried to cure you? I would like to enclose documents from Susan Dow's autopsy to the evidence. Basing on these, Your Honor, as well as the jury can get to know that the victim was pregnant with the defendant.
So halfway through the trial, go to the left-hand side table and read that note. Now you want to walk towards the stand, and another trial should happen.
Malpractice against Edward caused Susan and Theodore Dowell's death. The prosecutor and counsel wish to say anything before the trial has started?
My client, as a doctor, always takes care about patients' welfare. In the enclosed evidence, Your Honor may read about many difficult cases that have been cured by the defendant. He was trying to cure his protege at any cost to ease the pain.
I would like to enclose to the evidence the description of one therapy conducted by the defendant, which, as we can read, also finished with a failure. The girl, with similar illness like Edward, who under the influence...
This is where you realize the translation of the game is, like, completely terrible.
His wife was pregnant, not with him, but with Edward.
Alright, after that, you should be able to walk around and hear a phone ringing. We'll want to answer the phone. There's about 2 or 3 minutes left in the game, by the way, which we don't even have to finish. If you still need cabinets and shelves to open, this is probably a pretty good place to do it. Just keep looking around every little nook and cranny. But what we want to do is, as soon as we spawn, I guess walk around until it lets us. All right, there we go. The door will open and we want to leave the door. Continue down the hall and make sure you take the first door next to these 4 chairs. The door says Doctor of Psychology. Enter that door. On the main table, you should find a note. This is your last note of the game. It's inside of the drawer.
How are you feeling today? Everything's okay?
At this point, if you manage to complete the game without it crashing and none of the achievements glitched, you should have 1,000 out of 1,000 or 12 out of 12. In my case, we didn't get the helmet because... or we didn't get the 3 pieces of armor, which were the sword, shield, and helmet, because our game crashed between them. And for some reason, randomly, Flying School 1 and Flying School 2 sometimes don't unlock, even though these achievements are completely progressional. These achievements are rewarded for the 2 sections of the game where you fly like a crow through the tunnels. In the first one, it's a red tunnel. In the second one, it's a blue tunnel. But these unlock automatically when you do those sections, and for some reason on this playthrough they decided not to unlock. Now, if you did the game and you got your 1,000 out of 1,000, congratulations. You are free to now close the game or finish off the rest of the 3 minutes in order to just finish, just enjoy the game and then delete it. Now, however, if you are missing some achievements like this armor one or Flying School 1 and 2, your natural inclination may be to restart the game, but that's not what we actually do. The only way to fix these glitches is to basically close the game, and then we have to completely delete our saves and start the game from brand new as if we've never played it. So to do that, you go to My Games and Apps. You find the game under your installed games. You go to Manage Game and Add-ons. Then you go to Saved Data and press Delete All. Now, I'm not going to delete it because I actually need the saves for something. But if you do want to delete them, you'll click Delete All. And the next screen should ask you, like, are you sure you want to delete them? And would you like to delete them from your console, local? Or would you like to delete all data, aka everywhere? You want to make sure to select the Delete from Everywhere option so that it deletes the save off of your console, but also deletes the save off of the cloud. At this point, you can now load back into the game, and the game won't know that you've ever played it before. And now you should be able to try to go through the entire game again. And hopefully, if your game doesn't crash between the first and third armor, you will get the one called Sir Theodore Dowell. And for whatever reason, if Flying School 1 and 2 didn't unlock for you, those should also unlock for you. They actually unlocked perfectly fine on my other 3 playthroughs. So this is actually a brand new one for me. Nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. If this video was enjoyable or informational, please drop a like, share the video with a friend. I appreciate you guys for watching. Special thanks to everyone who does support the show on Patreon. And hopefully I see you guys next time. Peace.